The Let Me Be Frank podcast is proudly sponsored by Glenwood. Glenwood are the UK's leading construction industry debt recovery agency.
Remember, no win, no fee with Glenwood Debt Recovery.
Find out more at glenwoodconstruction.co.uk. Welcome back to another episode of the Let Me Be Frank podcast.
Yes,
podcast. With myself, Simon Houston, Frank McAvenny. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. I'm very good. Not as good as you.
How?
Just back for holiday.
I was great. It was lovely. Really, a wee bit too hot.
You've just been moaning about the heat out there. It's been pissing the rain here for a week.
I'm never happy. Scots were not built. We weren't built for rain. We weren't built for sun. We weren't built for cold. I'm not sure what we're built for.
Drinking.
But it was good. Before I went away, I said, sitting in this chair, that I was going to Santa Ponza. It was actually Port Palenza, and there's a bit of a difference.
I know, that's why I keep saying you Texas, how's Santa Ponza?
I know, my other half is mortified. She said, why tell people you're going to Santa Ponza? We're going a slightly more upmarket than that, Port Palenza. Oh, it's very nice. Anyway, we're not here to talk about holidays, even though you're going away in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Before we go on and introduce this week's guest, who is an absolute belter, a wee reminder, please keep following us. You're doing it in great numbers, and we're more and more impressed every time we look at the figures. But we're really trying to drive up our YouTube subscriptions. Mm-hmm. And as we say every week, it's free to do.
Free.
Doesn't cost you a penny. Just the time it takes you to hit subscribe in YouTube, our numbers go up, and it just helps everything.
I know. I can't understand. It's a couple of million hits.
The engagements across the board.
A couple of million hits a month, but we just need to get you to subscribe.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can watch the podcast without subscribing. That's the thing.
Of course you can.
So, but the subscription numbers really help. So anyway, a wee appeal, and that's enough for the advertising. We have got an absolute cracking guest. We get England and Man United legend Paul Parker joining us. Paul,
how are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. Now, do you want me to subscribe? You sold it there so well. I think I've got to subscribe.
You mean you haven't already?
Yeah, you and the family, mate.
When we drew up an original list of potential guests, Frank said we have to get Paul on because nothing to do with football, but he wanted to talk about a very famous fishing trip you went on. All the Gavin and Stacey fans will be thinking it's that. Did you ever watch Gavin and Stacey? No,
I don't watch it.
Aye.
No,
there was a famous fishing trip in that Benny.
I know exactly where you're going on that one. It's nothing like that at all.
No, it was something that we got offered. It was called On the Bank, and it was Angling Outlaws, wasn't it? And they got four ex-footballers who'd never fished before, and they taught us how to fish for a couple of days, didn't they? And then all of a sudden the competition kicked in.
Right.
And what they say was they've never seen four boys change so much into competition mode, wasn't it? Because everyone wanted to win. So.
if you can imagine it, by the way, Simon, Frank just went so serious. It was incredible. And to be honest, and he got nasty a few times as well, because you can just. I just don't think if you do any sport or anything like you've been professional at it, you hate to lose. It's got to be in there. If it isn't in there, there's something wrong. And Frank didn't like losing.
I didn't. So
you turned nasty.
Well, it's interesting you went fishing because I think a lot of people know that you did most of your best work with a rod in your hand.
Hey.
So that's outrageous.
Yeah, it was a big rod as well.
Can I ask you a question, Frank?
Yeah, go on then.
Because it was someone said to me that you practice as well. You went out fishing as well before.
No, never. I've never. Honestly, Paul, never.
No.
It's not something. It's not something you can do in the centre of Glasgow.
Aye.
There's no ponds up here.
Aye.
No, I didn't. I never ever. Never.
Yeah. You've battered a few people, but you've never battered any fish.
You get your fish battered up here, yeah. No, it's something I never done. But do you know what, Paul? Like you, I really enjoyed it, but I didn't carry on with it. I didn't do it again because I just don't have that kind of time to go and sit. It was really enjoyable sitting. Yeah.
So this was
hours.
This was on
really
BT Sport.
It'd be good fun.
It was on BT Sport and it's called Angling Outlaws.
It was on BT. First one was on BT Sport, Angling Outlaws. Second one's on Netflix.
And were you genuinely, where were you staying at night? Was it over the course of
we were in the tents at night. We done a night time one. We were in the tents. and it was that was interesting, wasn't it? Didn't it? Yeah, the nighttime one.
Night fishing and that.
Yeah.
And I can't touch fish. I can't touch fish. So I was with somebody who was dragging them in for me. I didn't want to touch them. Just couldn't do it.
Well, there was one that I'm hoping we're going to get the footage of. When you catch your first fish, it's an angling thing that you've got to get a photo of it.
Aye.
So we all got ours, and then Paul caught a fish, and the look in his face, the terror on his face, and of course he's got a hand out like that, and then the fish started moving and squiggling, and he absolutely shit himself out. I'm hoping we can find that footage, Paul, and we will show what we're talking about.
Well, we won't give away too much if anyone wants to go and try and find it. I presume it's available on YouTube.
On YouTube, you can get it on the bank. Angling Outlaws. Yeah,
and
it
the
was good fun.
Denman say when you caught a fish, the Denman say we're going to need a bigger boat. No,
no, no, it wasn't that big, but it was big enough. They were big enough. Yeah. So anyway, let's go on to football.
Before we go on to football, so Paul, I have to say you're looking a wee bit bleary-eyed. Have you had a wee bit of a weekend of it?
He's been.
Oh yeah, since 3 a.m. last Thursday morning. Was that right? Yeah, last Thursday morning started my travels to Benidorm. And what is a 61-year-old man doing going to Benidorm for? Well, his son's best mate's getting married, so my wife thought I had to go along just to be there for him. And Christ Almighty, it was absolutely ridiculous. Because as maybe Frank knows already, we arrived at a hotel by midday. And then it started from midday because you couldn't get in a room, so you got to have a drink while you're waiting for your room. The only problem is, though, that you don't get into the room until 2 o'clock that morning. So it was, and it never stopped. I think I can remember eating one spicy Chinese and I had 4 kebabs. That's all I've had. That's all I've had up until I got home.
Brilliant.
Well, it's good you were invited along. Because
he can still party, there's a Paul. He can still keep up. That's a good thing.
My daughter's getting married in October, and
you're not doing it, are you?
I'm conducting the ceremony.
No, he's a celebrant, Paul. He's one of these.
I do.
He does the weddings and funerals.
I do legal authorised to do weddings in Scotland, but I don't want to turn this into an advert for my.
But one.
Anyway, if you're thinking about getting married, so my daughter's getting married in October, and I've been banned from the stag trip.
One life's finished and the other one's just about to finish,
I'm been banned, but Paul was invited along to his son's mate's stag. So
I know.
Anyway, so we'll try and get through this painlessly and quickly and let you go back to your bed. Hey, did you guys play against each other?
Yeah, when did you play? I finished
Frank, actually, so in 80, I'm trying to think when it was, QPR, so in 87, QPR got me from Fulham, and I made my debut against Frank at Upton Park, my local team, and I was man marking TC. Right. And I've known Tony since we were kids together playing local football, and he got taken off. Well, in other words, I think he's still in my pocket. To be perfectly honest, he's not a big receiver. So TC, and we won 3-0.
Oh yeah, I obviously wasn't playing.
No, you was playing. You was playing. 100%. You were playing. You had that. You was wearing that silly wig that white wig you had on your head.
Yeah. The first time I remember playing against QPR, I only scored 2. That was at Upton Park. It was great times.
So, 1987. That must have been you. Would have been.
Yeah. When did you go to Man United, Paul? Because I would have played against
91.
I would have played against you when I went to Swindon. You, McAllister, Pallister, Bruce. And it was.
I can name that entire team: Schmeichel, Parker, Pallister, Irvin Sharp, Bruce and Inns, Hughes, McClare, Keenan Cantona, Robson, Kanchelskis and Giggs.
It may have been, yeah. But we got a
draw, actually. We got a song there, Simon.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't realise I was singing the Status Quo song. Have I heard that? No. Come on, you Reds. Come on, you Reds.
No, okay. Well, anyway, I don't get it.
Aye, Schmeichel, Parker, Pallister. There we go.
Don't give up your day job.
So when you arrived, 91, so there was obviously that period with Fergie where there was Willie get sacked or not, because his first couple of years weren't all that impressive. 91 was probably when it started to turn. That was the year they won the Cup Winners' Cup, wasn't it? Right.
I arrived after that, but prior to that, I mean, it was the FA Cup, which people still talk about in '90.
Yeah.
They still talk about that as the main one, that Lee Martin goal.
Yes.
Or the Mark Robbins goal against Nottingham Forest. It led to Lee Martin scoring, in the replay. And then the following season, they won the Cup Winners' Cup. And then I joined that summer. And that's then when it got momentum, and the talk was Manchester United had to win a league title. Yeah. So what did we do in our first season? We ended up pissing it up the wall. In Easter of '92, we lost it. We had injuries, and if you remember, then that's when football squads, and you had 15, 16 players playing over 50 games a season, and we just didn't have it in us. Leeds won it, and it couldn't have been any worse than that for the gaffer, because Gordon Strachan was in the Leeds team, so that would have really made it worse for him. Seeing Gordon Strachan winning that title, but the long and short of it is we were warned, threatened, whatever people want to say, and we all knew that we couldn't fail the following season.
Mm-hmm. Is that when you got Cantona in? Is that when he came in?
Well, Eric turned up I'm trying to think, 92, 93. Eric turned up in November of that year. And to be honest, I mean, the gaffer just turned around, and when he talks about it, he said Eric added a new dimension. He changed us. We weren't that predictable because Eric everything was off the cuff. It was just like, it was incredible, and we all of us, we idolised Eric because we was getting win bonuses, and we saw a chance of maybe getting a medal out of it as well because of what everything could do. But Eric, everything about him was, he's one of those people, you put him in a black bin line, he would look $1 million, and he'd mostly find something to lift the collars up as well and put a collar on there. But the boss loved him. I'm sure Chucker told you, the boss absolutely loved Eric. He would have binned his son Darren, who was there at the time, and I think his wife Kath. I don't think he went home too often. I think he spent more time with Eric. He would come down into the dressing room, and he would start talking. He'll sit next to Eric and he'll start talking. All of a sudden, there was this kind of Glaswegian gentleman putting a little bit of French into it as well. It sounded terrible, but we just all sat there and we saw it. You could see the loving from the gaffer to Eric, but as mad as it seems, it didn't bother us because what Eric meant to us, what he meant to us as a player, but as a person. And again, we would go out, and you say you put £10 in the whip when you have a night out, and Eric would put 20 quid in the whip because Eric was going to have champagne in the cooler, and he'd walk over, and if there was any women, he would sit down with them, pull it down and sit with them. And that's what he'd go and do. And we'd all look at him, and we could have been bitter about it, but we all kind of going, God, I wish we had the balls to do that. Wish we could be like Eric. It was just one of those. He was incredible man, fantastic footballer.
I know Lee Sharp quite well, and Sharpie told some stories about him. It's especially with Fergie, because the one that I don't know if you were playing when he kicked at Crystal Palace. And
I was on the bench.
Sharpie says if anyone else from a team had done that, they'd be out the team. Fergie would have went for the throat, and he's came in and he's been round the team. You're shit. You can't do that. And then he's got to Eric, and everyone's going waiting. I'm giving it to Eric, and he says, "You can't be doing that, son."
I know.
They're all going,
Eric, what you like? What you like, Eric?
Yeah, so very good.
Okay.
That's what he was like. But he was a genius. The guy's a genius, when he was.
He doesn't get any credit for it now, Frank. The thing about it, he made such an impact on ourselves, but the game, and all of a sudden you sit and some people try to copy in the way they played and that, and he doesn't get enough back. No. And to be fair, in our game anyway, in the English game, the league, the Premier League, I call it the Circus League sometimes, is that we're taking away those kind of people. We're not allowing them anymore. Managers seem to be scared of them. And they want everyone to play in a system and do the same what everyone else is doing. And the likes of Eric, they're worth their weight in gold because they win your games, but managers don't want to work with them anymore.
Yeah, the guys that, the collar, the collar up is just, Mate, I was on loan at Swindon and we played against him. We kept turning his collar down, just to get him annoyed.
Was that when John Moncur asked his autograph and he called his chest?
Yes, he stuck his nose.
What did they do? Sorry, I missed that.
Well, we were saying at night, we can't beat Man United, and it was playing me in midfield, John Gorman. But the two strikers that played with Swindon couldn't handle Pallister and Bruce and Parks and that. So he said to me, "Will you play up front?" I'm going, "Oh, yeah. What about the two Golden boys?" He's going, "Oh, they can't handle them." So I like the physical stuff. Paul will tell you. So we're playing. We're saying, me and John McCur's saying we can't beat them. We're sharing a room. So we come up with the idea, just keep turning his collar down. Everyone that passed him, just turn his collar down. So it started as we were walking out of tunnel. I says, "All right, Eric," and turned his collar. "Oh, fashion." And that's how it started. And we went out and, oh my God.
And you still get pumped?
No, we got a draw. We got a draw, yeah. We got a draw and Eric gets sent off. Yeah, Eric gets sent off. Yeah, it was funny. But John was like, we Monks was like that. He could get anyone sent off. Johnny Moncur. Yeah. Brilliant. What a talent. But I was going to say about Man United, no disrespect to Leeds, but Eric Cantona was born to be a big player in a big team, and Man United was sort of a tailor-made for him. Yeah. He walked in. Yeah. I can imagine him walking into that dressing room with a swagger and just walking in as if this is mine. And that's what I like about players. That's what I like about players that do that. And as you see, I don't think we've got enough of them now.
No, we definitely haven't. We haven't, Frank. But Eric did come in, and he did come in with a swagger, and all of a sudden, within a few weeks, we saw how important he was. But it's just about everything else all suddenly changed. We started scoring different kind of goals. Well, everyone else did. I didn't. Goals weren't in my locker. But everybody, if you see some of the goals we scored, mean, there was a Dennis Irwin one, which they keep showing a lot when Eric, somehow, Dennis has played the ball into him 3-4 yards outside the box. And as he's played the ball in, Dennis has just carried his run and Eric has stunned the ball and he's just flipped up and it's dropped and it's spun forward right into Dennis's path where Dennis couldn't have asked for it any better. Yeah. And there were the things that we couldn't do, we wasn't happening before. Yeah. And then when you look at it, the boss virtually just nicked Eric because Leeds come in and they wanted to re-sign Dennis. And the boss said, no chance. Dennis cost him 600 grand. And he goes, but I'll have Eric. And I asked Howard Wilkinson when I saw Howard Wilkinson at an LMA event at Lord's Cricket Ground. And I just said to him about Eric, I said, why'd you let Eric go? He goes, he just didn't fit what I wanted to do. And he couldn't and wouldn't do what I wanted to do. So I let him go.
It's incredible.
I said to him, did you regret it? He went, no.
Oh, absolute fool.
Yeah. But certain managers, and if you'd have heard stories about how Wilkinson and the way they trained at Chef Wednesday and at Leeds, and it wasn't Eric. I mean, they were always going to be the fittest team, Leeds and Chef Wednesday at that given time. But Eric couldn't fit into it. He wanted to play in a certain fashion. The boss knew it, and he just let Eric do what he wanted to do. And he didn't fight fire with Eric. He virtually said, "You can do what you want, but don't let yourself down in certain ways." And yes, he did. He did have moments, but no other manager managed him like Sir Alex. No one got close to handling him in that sense. But he allowed him freedom. He allowed him to wear virtually what he wanted. We had to wear black shoes, grey trousers, club blazers, club shirts, club ties. Eric could he'd have a club tie and he'd fin it out and he looked like he should have been involved with the mods. He'd have a jacket, he'd cut the lapels down to the jacket, so the lapels were quite slim. He pulled the jacket in so it was fitted rather than looking like a tea bag. Yeah. He got his grey trousers, he put like a crease right down the middle and he wore red Nike trainers on his feet.
Brilliant.
Absolutely. And we're just all sitting there just waiting for the boss to explode. And he just looks at Eric and he goes, only you, Eric, can wear stuff like that and look so good. The others can't. and that's what he done.
You can imagine the love hearts coming out of his eyes, looking at him. Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
so, what were your own experiences with Fergie? Did you ever suffer the famous hairdryer?
Yeah, I got it. I can remember one of them. One time, and it was quite early. It must have been my first season because I was thinking he's going to get rid of me. And we always did the mornings come down, and there'd be two groups. There'd be the young lads, and Giggsy would go in there, and it was like a young Becks, and because they were training with us quite early, and it's all of them together. And then it was like the older ones, a little square, and it was like a piggy in the middle, two in. And the boss used to come down, hands in his ski coat, and he'd walk down like that, look like a weeble wop, just be like that, and he'll join in with us, and he had this funny way of running with his arms, and his arms always down there, elbows out. That's how he played, I got told as well when he was at Rangers. His elbows were always out, and he'll go around and all of a sudden I'd done something which was so unlike me. I nutmegged him, and what I'd done after, because I was having this conversation, I was like a child really, in the sense that it kept to my head, and I nutmegged him, and you normally say something after. I went, "Come on, tag it," and oh my God. And he's just turned and he's looked at me and he's given me that and I was waiting for him to laugh or something. He didn't laugh. and he just went like that. He just went, and I went, oh no. And then the training session finished and he looked at me and he just goes, gave me the curly finger. I went in there, I absolutely was shitting myself. And he just looked at you're not going to do that anymore. You're not going to say that. I went, no. Just went like that, no. And he goes, I don't want it, not right, shouldn't be doing that. And he goes to me, because it could have been worse, I could have called you a little pygmy. I just went, fair dues like that. But that was I think that was my only one time as such. There was one moment because of 94, 95, 93, 94 season, our double season. And I was playing, but I was struggling, had an ankle injury. Kevin Gallagher left me the centre forward one down, right down on my ankle as I knocked the ball forward on the touchline. So my ankle was a little bit buggered. So I was having anti-inflammatories and having injections just to play to finish the season. So I just didn't want to miss a game. So that whole summer, fine, come back pre-season, perfect. Then I broke down again. And so it was the Champions League, and it was that season when we went to Barca, and we were lucky to only get beat 4-0. Romario, Stoichkov, and Christ, it was absolutely we come off the pitch. Oh, thank God, it was only 4, and he said to me he needed me because of the foreigner ruling. Chocky couldn't play. Peter Schmeichel never played. Sparky never played. Even Eric never played.
That's right.
Just because of the ruling.
There's only 3 non-English that came in the team. Yeah, I remember that.
And it's absolutely mad. You go and win league. No, we didn't play together as a team in Europe. All of us. We just couldn't do it. So after we're just sitting there and he's going around to everyone, this and you're a disgrace, you've embarrassed yourself, you've embarrassed the club. He turned to me and goes, just go and get your fucking ankle done now. Like that. and that was it. And I don't think I spoke to him again. And I don't think I spoke to him again till the following year because I had it done in November 94. I don't think I talked to him till the January because he was DW then. DW means dead wood. So that's what you become. So that was the only other time when he kind of exploded at me.
Yeah, he didn't take much notice of the boys that weren't playing, did he?
Oh, not interested.
Not got time for it. Any boy in the treatment room, Fergie. A lot of managers were like that, Paul. Didn't take anything to do. If you're on the treatment table, you're not used to them.
It's that time of the show when we give a wee shout out to our sponsors, to whom we are very grateful as ever. Glenwood, debt recovery, and it's specialists in debt recovery within the construction industry. So, as we always say, if you're a business and someone's messing you around and they're not paying you in time, or they're avoiding paying you, and you've nowhere to turn, they're the people to go to. Get in touch with Glenwood. They do a brilliant job. Go on their website and follow them on LinkedIn and so on. You can learn all about what they do. You can read the many, many testimonials of really satisfied customers, and they get it sorted.
Yeah.
Well, as we always say,
it's a big thing, isn't it? If you do the work, you deserve to get paid.
Completely.
And Glenwood do that for you.
yeah. And they've been great to us. They've allowed us to push the boat out in this fantastic studio we're in here in Glasgow's Wild Up Next studio. So that's what to do. If you're in that position and you're getting messed around, get in touch with them. Get in touch with the team at Glenwood. And the website is glenwoodconstruction.co.uk. And when you do get in touch, there is something important you have to remember.
Tell them that Frank sent you. Bit sad, but it's the truth.
But you were obviously right in the heart of it when the whole class of '92 emerged, and you watched all these young boys. I mean, that's a fairly obvious question, but did you instantly see something in all of them? Was there any of those guys that the first time you saw them touch a ball, he's going to be a world superstar?
No, not at all. I really don't. If anyone said that to me, any of the other lads who I played with at that given time, it's, I'd even question them now, because you saw these young kids who had been brought up in the right way. They all had good manners. They were respectful of the senior pros. But they just, yes, and the boss got them involved. And when he had the ump with you, sometimes he might say, he's going to take your place. I think he meant it with me, because he must have said it 10 times about Gary Neville. so he did get my place. But they had sang about him, and everyone would, talk about Beckham and this and that. But the one who always stuck out was Paul Scholes. Yeah. Scholesy was the one who was a nasty, nasty kid. Mm-hmm. He would just leave his foot there. If you kicked him or anything, he would leave his foot there, and he didn't care who you were. Yeah. He just didn't care. And Nicky Butt was another one who was a lad brought up, in one of the, roughest place in Manchester, Galton, and he could look after himself, Butty. I was just pleased that he cleaned my boots, and so he was always going to be nice to me, because at the time I was sponsored by Asics, so he was quite happy. I gave him boots and I gave him track suits and T-shirts, and you think you're giving it to Nicky Butt, he was going on to the housing estate and he was selling gear. That's what he used to do.
That's good.
But Butty was as tough as anything. Yeah. Butty, a proper, he was a proper man as a kid, and they all were men in the way they were. Eric Harrison, the youth team manager, with Eric Harrison. When I arrived there, it was Eric Harrison, there was Jim Ryan, and Nobby Stiles were the three who were around all those young players, and the way they were treated. I mean, I'd come from QPR, and I thought, I went there in the old first division. I'd come from the third division, and I thought, that's a big club. And I said, wow. And I just turned up there and just saw the way everything was, the way the young players were, the way they were treated. And they were treated in a much better way than what the young players were at, as I was an apprentice, and what the apprentices were at QPR. But they still had their, it's the wrong word to use in football when you say etiquette, but yeah. They just had something about them. There was just the way they presented themselves. So when they started coming into the team from, say, 93 onwards, late 92, 93, they was already prepared, and they was never doubted when they come into the team.
They were ready to go.
It was good, but back then it was like that, Paul, because I remember at West Ham, Billy Bonds wouldn't let the kids into the dressing room. You couldn't get in the dressing room. I think it came from Trevor Brooken, I'm not sure. But you have to earn the respect. You have to earn the right to go in the first team dressing room. They had to go in. Yeah. They had to go in and pick up the stuff, pick up the kit, and they had to knock on the door. Mm-hmm. They couldn't just walk. Nowadays, the young boys are walking in and absolutely slaughtering the players, the first team players. Mm-hmm. There's just nothing like that now. But I think it was good. I mean, because that team, Sharpie and Giggs, and I mean, it was a hell of a team to come through. The players to come through. I mean, a good five-a-side team, that's for sure. I was
going to mention someone in that team who wasn't one of the teenagers, but wasn't one of the old guard either. Would have been Roy Keane. He was probably age-wise maybe somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. What do you remember about him at that point?
Well, Roy turned up in the so it was smiling on my face. It still makes me laugh. Roy turned up in 93, 94. So we just won. The United's first title in 26 years. And the boss, then we won it. And then the boss gave us this speech at the end of it again. Words to the effect of, so you think you've done it. If you think you've done it and you come back still thinking you've done it, you wouldn't have done it because you won't be here anymore. So now you got that medal. Now I want you to try and get another medal. And whatever you do, you try and replicate and you keep living as, I'm telling you stuff that you would know already about the man. But one was never enough for him. You got to get more and more. That's why Ryan Giggs got 13 in the end, because it was that's what he was looking for. So he threatened us, even though we'd done what we'd done, with a smile on his face this time. But so with that summer we went to South Africa. We'd done a tour out there, and Roy turns up out there. We just signed Roy, and Roy turns up. And while we was away, Roy had so many nicknames. It was incredible, all related to booze. There was, because all he ever kept saying all the time was, "I'm fucking smashed." So Smashy was one. He got so many nights. He was just. To be honest, we was out there. The trip was sponsored by Castle Lager, which is the main one out there. So, but you could go and buy it. It was about 40 pence a bottle. It was that you couldn't spend. No one could spend any money out there. So we went out there. Arsenal were out there at the same time. Arsenal were under military rule because their manager was George Graham.
Yeah. All right.
And George was like a little Hitler, to be honest. But when you hear about George, what they say about his playing career, he was a proper lad as well. Yeah. But Arsenal never did anything. We was the ones that were always out and all the time. And we played against who was it? The Pirates. I don't know if it's the Orlando Pirates and we're playing in Ellis Park, and it was their winter, so it was about July, and it was about 70 degrees, and it was their winter. We was outside by the pool in a hotel one time. We were ordering drinks outside, but we had to go and get them because the staff wouldn't come out because it was too cold. So we're playing this game, and we're letting this bloke, a player called Doctor somebody, and when they gave him the ball, and it was like he was doing a tribal dance with the ball. He was doing all these tricks. The fans are going mad, but no one was going near him because everyone was just knackered, just humidity. We couldn't. The boss has gone mad at us. You're putting no tackles in. You're not doing this. And it was just one of those trips and we finished and we won the game, but he went ballistic because of you didn't play like a Manchester United team. You didn't fit wearing a shirt of Manchester United, so he ran us.
Yeah, wow. So that was Roy. So that was Roy's first trip for you guys then. Welcome to Man United.
It was his first one, and Roy just couldn't believe it when he come into it and just what the boss was all about. But Roy was there, integrated straight away because he had a drink. And then that season, 93-94 season, I would say that we had the best two central midfield players in English football, maybe two of the best ever. We had two players who both of them were trying to outdo each other because they both thought they were better than the other. They would make tackles in our box. They would try and score goals in the other box. Then they'll run back again. There was no stupid CDM rubbish and all this ABC thing for positions. Mm-hmm. Both of them were up and back. Paul Ince and Roy Keane. Mm-hmm. Absolutely incredible central midfield players. Something that you're not going to see anymore now. Players like that who would do those jobs. But both of them, and Frank, you know what Ince is all about.
Yeah, of course I do.
Ince, he's just got this thing about him, Paul, where he had to be the best. Yes. He was always better than him. He would come back and do your job, and then he'll stick his finger in your face and say, well, I'm doing it better than you, so you better sort yourself out or you'll be out. He was threatening you like the manager on the pitch. Him and Roy were exactly the same, and it was and when you speak to, when Sir Alex talks and Roy talks, Roy says that was his best ever team he played in, and the boss says that's his best ever team.
Yeah,
because we had the most aggressive people. He always used to say as well. Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No, it's all right. Go for it.
Yeah. The boss always used to say, when we play away from home, you go there and you silence the fans. You don't give them anything. The away to get at you. You just keep you cause the first reaction, get the first corner, or even better, score the first goal. And I look at it and I think to myself, he kept saying it, but I think he was trying to convince himself because he had Eric, he had Brian Robson, he had blooming Paul Ince, and he had Roy Keane, and then he had a silent assassin and a Dennis Irwin. And it never really worked that often going away from home because someone would just lose their shit quite early because someone's trying to do them. We had that game against Wimbledon, and Wimbledon decided at Sellers Park that they were going to kick us off the pitch. And the thing about it, Eric and Roy never bit. Was wearing a yellow and green strip.
That's right.
And it never bit. And it's unbelievable, really, how they never lost their heads. But we was just on the verge of just winning the league after that game. Yeah. So everyone was calm. But afterwards, it kicked in the tunnel after. Really kicked.
Really? So this is the game. I mean, I've watched clips of that a few times. Vinnie Jones is absolutely trying to break Roy Keane in two. Isn't he?
Yeah.
And he doesn't bite. You're absolutely right. So what happened in the tunnel after it? Did it all kick off?
All kicked off, didn't it? I remember that.
But then all of a sudden they want to give us all the shouting after, even though he won. They wanted to do all that. John Fashanu, all of them just wanted to do it. It was like a club code. If you play for Wimbledon, you have to have a fight or something after. It was, but it went a bit verbally, and it was everyone got in the way of it. Anything, I mean, thank God football ain't like rugby, because in rugby you can throw as many punches as you want and you might miss one game. But in football, everyone stops themselves and they try and pull someone in front, and no one really goes that far in football. It doesn't go to, it doesn't cross that line. So, but it was always that way. Every time going away from home, it was always tough. Swindon was one, Frank, that we talked about earlier. Yeah. I mean, everyone, they surrounded our coach. We couldn't get on the coach. We had to get a police escort out from the ground out to the motorway because Swindon fans wanted to kill us.
Yeah, so, I know. It was good. It was good fun. I enjoyed my time there. It was all right. So, but I got to know. You're talking about Wimbledon. I got to know John Fashanu. Do you know that John is one of the few people that, there's senses in your body and all that. And John was into this jiu-jitsu or all that kind of stuff, taekwondo. And he knew all the senses,
the pressure points, and
certain pressure points in your body. And of course, I'm, me, Paul. I'm trying to get what's the one that you touch somebody's neck and they just drop. It's a nerve. Right. And he's going, and I'm going, show me. And he's going, and he was just about to show me, and then he says, no. Who you going to do it to? And I was wanting to do it to goalkeepers. He's going, no, you're not allowed to do it. And I'm going, it's to stop fights. You just touch somebody. And I just wanted to do it to centre half or I just wanted to do it because I'm like that.
Just want to put somebody to sleep.
Yeah.
So now you've decided to do that in a podcast.
Yes. That's yeah.
As always happens, we always say we'll try and keep this fairly tight, and there's loads of things still want to talk to you about, so we'll rattle through them. But Man United, obviously finishing, what was it, 15th last season?
Yeah.
Do you think, compared to your day, is you've got all these players who want to leave Man U, asking for transfers and so on? Does it mean the same to play for Man United at the moment as it did back in the day? Do you think?
No, I think that's football in general. I'm one of these people. I say it as I believe it is, really, rather than going around there trying to be Mr. Nice Person, because that doesn't make much difference. I don't think they've got the love of the game on what we had it. I mean, for me, I was always in the back garden. The highlight was always the last game of the season, the FA Cup. Whoever scored the winning goal, I wanted to be that person. Yeah. And whatever they did to celebrate, you copy it and you do everything. I don't think they've got football's not their first love. Their first love is what football can give them.
Yeah,
that's the difference today. That's exactly what it has become. And virtually, when I got told that that I was going to be an apprentice footballer, it wasn't even about how much money, even though it was only 16 quid a week then. But it wasn't about the money. It was just about the fact I was going to do it, and I thought I was going to be at Fulham for the rest of my life. Yeah, and that's the thing. Every time I got anywhere, let's play football. Now they don't even play football now. Yeah. Kids anywhere, they're not allowed to play football with their mates if they go to a club. And if they do go, and if they are playing football, they sit in front of a TV and they're being coached by what's on TV, everything on and off the pitch. And it's not the same. They're not playing with the same. They're not playing from the heart at all, or anything like that. It is a job. It is a job, just by the way they are. Now, I would say with Frank, one of them is that someone's trying to kick the shit out of you all the time, and all of a sudden something happens. You'll jump up to your feet and you'll generally smile at them and just kind of going, well, more for you for that reason. I'm not. But, now all of a sudden they're not rolling around. They want to get up and make out as if they're going to throw a punch, and they want people to step in when no one plays with a smile on their face. Christ almighty, if I knew that I was going to be earning over 100 grand a week, I'd be smiling so many times. I couldn't get enough of it yet. No. And, and Christ, when they talk about 100 grand, I'm trying to think, how many years did I get over 100 grand a year? And there weren't many. And I just said to myself, they don't love it. They don't love it, and I just don't think, if you're not loving something, how can you give your best? That's my little bit, I don't understand it.
Good point.
It's not often I think about Man United, but I sometimes watch them and I think, Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony, I'm thinking, what would Fergie have done to them if he was their manager? I think this boy that's came in, to be fair, the manager that's came in, I think he might have a wee bit of Fergie in him, because he doesn't suffer fools gladly, I don't think. Yeah. Because he's getting them out the door.
It's a big year for Man United, I think.
I think so.
It's a big year for Man United and Spurs, obviously too. But obviously with Spurs having get short of Ange, there'll be a lot of pressure.
I don't think so. I don't think so. A lot of people didn't like Ange, did it because of the way he played.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think if you say to people, "I'm going to win you a trophy," and then you do it.
Yeah, but you've got to. It's the league, innit, Paul? Down there's the league, really. It's everyone. You've got to. Listen, it was the worst cup final that I've ever seen, apart from the Celtic and Aberdeen one.
Yeah, let's not go down that. Let's not go down that.
It was a week after. It was two of the worst cup finals in a week I've ever seen.
Listen, but what I want to, but time's running away from us a wee bit. I want to talk about your England career and the highs and the lows. That, if we could go straight to that semi-final against Germany in 1990. I mean, you were one of the success stories to come out of that tournament from England, England's point of view. You had a great tournament, but you were so pivotal in the semi-final for a couple of reasons. How do you look back on it? You made amends. So for anyone who doesn't know, there are a lot of Scottish people watching this, maybe don't know this, but when Andy Bremmer scored the goal for Germany to put Germany 1-0 up, it deflected off Paul, who raced out the wall, I think, to try and block it, and it spun up and over Peter Shilton.
Great pass.
So within I think 12 minutes, you managed to make amends by getting the assist for Lineker.
Yes.
Yeah, I went, to be honest, when I actually do, when I go out and I talk about it, I always say that for those 12 or whatever minutes it was in between the ball hitting me and going in, and then, then being involved in the equaliser, I kind of went missing. Because I think in my head, emotionally wise, I was thinking about what's going to be said about me, what's going to be written about me because of the ball hitting me. We lose a game 1-0. I had so many negative thoughts in my head. It was incredible, how, and so. And I think a few of them saw it, and I think it was Gazza and Peter Beardsley who were the first ones who got to me after that. As soon as I put that ball in, Gary goes and scores, they ran straight to me after that, because I think they knew, they could see where I was, and it wasn't a good place, because I went to that World Cup and I didn't think I was playing, because Bobby Robson, the loyalist man ever, he stuck by everyone through that. So I had so many number 12 shirts from over those 18 months prior, just to turning up. No, Gary Stevens is playing, right? You're number 12. 2 minutes on the pitch, nobody keeps playing and playing. So I turned up, I'm going to be a sub. Not a problem, I thought, But I had a groin problem at the time, so I had on the verge of a hernia. So I had 2 cortisones, one either side of me groin, before I went, just to think myself, I'm just going to be warming up. Might have to do a bit of hard work, something, but I won't be playing. Christ, I never knew I was going to play 6 out of 7 games. When I come back, my groins crumbled. I was out for 6 weeks, having a hernia up after that. Yeah. So, yes, it was quite an emotional time for me. The big thing that done was I was a QPR player, and people knew my name. After that, that well, after that, everyone knew me face, which was brilliant because got a bit of free gear given to me, which we all like a bit of that. But socially, it doesn't help. You don't really want it. I closed down my local supermarket at the time there. The first black person to do that, and I'm mostly trying to rob the place. Yeah. So it was a completely different time. I turned up in where I was living. I was living in Wokingham at the time in Berkshire. There was a big banner waiting for me in the street. My cul-de-sac had a big banner up, and people are out there in the street drinking. I had 2 pints of lager and I went to bed. I was gone. I was absolutely gone because we landed at Luton Airport, and it was absolutely mobbed there. It seemed like the Beatles got reunited or something, and they were just coming into Luton because it was madness, the amount of people there trying to get through it, driving back on the M1, people cutting in front of the car, waving out the window, and that was just me. Mm-hmm. 2 seasons earlier, I was relegated from the 2nd to the 3rd division with Fulham. Mm. And that's how quickly football can change.
So that everyone thinks of that match, in the penalty shootout against Germany, the iconic image is always Gazza in tears and Gary Lineker looking at the bench and.
No, he get booked, didn't he? And that was him. He was going to miss the final.
Because he knew he was going to miss the final.
Yeah.
But is that not the point? Was that not the point when the Gazza not kind of start to get quite emotional when he realised that he was going to miss it?
He told Robson, didn't he? Gary told Robson.
Gary Lineker looked at the bench and he's basically saying,
look at him.
We need to do something here. Were you quite close to all that when that was unfolding?
Yeah, I was quite close. The thing about it, I always say that after that moment, and I never actually watched that game. I never watched that full 120 minutes of that game until we were locked up in our houses. And I sat and watched it because everything football then, the nostalgia became the big thing with football because there was no football matches being played. Yeah. We were stuck indoors and it come up on a TV and I'm sitting in the same spot. It come on and I went to turn it off. I thought, I'm not going to watch it. My missus made me sit and watch that 120 minutes and I thought, wow. We didn't play that bad, to be perfectly honest. The Gazza bit, but Gazza in that game, if you watch Paul Gascoigne and his performance after he got that booking, it would have been so easy for Gazza just to go around and kick, argue, be a prick really, if he wanted to, because everyone would have felt sorry for him. But he gave an incredible performance after that game. He took that game on himself after that. It was an incredible performance by him, actually knowing that he couldn't play in the final. And when people come up to me and say, if you'd have got the final, you would have beaten Argentina, I always say, I'm sorry. As good as things might have been, we weren't going to win that game without Paul.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what Lineker was saying, watch him, but in case he gets into shell or tries to get sent off or whatever. But that's the kind of guy Paul is, Gazza is. He's just, he stepped up, didn't he? I mean, he really did. He stepped up. I think Roy Keane done it at Man United at one point as well, did he not?
Juventus, I think
it was the semi-final. He was going to miss the final, but he put in a heroic performance.
Good players do that. Knowing he can't play in the final, but he put in a performance
I suppose that's the definition of a team player, isn't
that's
it?
A team, but it's a world-class player.
Yeah.
Gazza, Roy Keane, I mean, the two of them were set. Head and shoulders above a lot of players. So, it's good players that do that, don't and think of your team,
But so you were saying earlier that you didn't make the trip to Sweden in '92, Graham Taylor's finest hour. You kind of relieved about that?
Afterwards, I was, of course, but still, when you get a smell of it and you get involved in it, you go to a tournament. That's my biggest disappointment, really, is that I only played in one tournament. I've been to other tournaments. I'm quite lucky that someone I know and a few people, they take me out to World Cups and Euros and stuff as their guest. Yeah. But to have played in one was incredible feeling to be around, teammates, lads for so long and actually doing it and going like 2, 3, 4 weeks without any booze. That's a tester for you as well. But then not to go, it bothers me, but it was quite poor. But he just didn't fancy me. Graham Taylor didn't like me. Didn't like me. He just said, Paul. He just said the way you played it. You play it short, too many. I want the ball. I want it to go further forward and quicker. And when you've got
just
people
tell
like
me.
Robson, a Keane, or an Andre Konchesky's demanding the ball from you to give it to them so they can go and run and hurt people, what do? So he brought in Lee Dixon, and because Lee played the ball forward longer and quicker. But thank goodness, it didn't work. I didn't go really because everything fell apart. But it was another low point for England at that given time in the Euros.
Yeah,
it's only been Graham Southgate that's given England any joy in the Euros.
Yeah, because that was the big headline, wasn't it? It was Sweden 2, turn-ups 1. I think it was the headline. That was was Graham Taylor's. It was a legacy, I suppose, in some respects. But then the other game I think of with Taylor was the qualifier against the Netherlands. Was when I think he had the camera crew on him, was in a documentary and filming him at the touchline.
I played in that one because it's quite funny, really, because I've been left out for quite a while. And then he's called me back in, and he just said to me, "Paul, I'm playing. If we qualify, if we win, we'll win this. If we win this game, you're coming to America with us." And I thought, right, okay, that's fine. Did I really believe it? Never really took it in because I don't think you can. Things can change so quick. Mm-hmm. And that game was just ridiculous, really. I mean, we played in Rotterdam. The actual barbed wire was coming out towards the pitch. Scary stadium. Incredible choice of ground to go to. A ground that was just volatile without even people in it. When we trained there the night before, it just looked scary, eerie. And they chose well to take it there. But when everyone talks about, that Koeman should have been sent off and this and that, I turn around and say, no, David Platt should never have gone down. Keep going, drag him into the box, get a penalty, but don't go down easy and looking for a free kick. He should have carried on, really. Yeah. And that's the annoying thing. And when you look at that, he hardly touched him. For him to fall over like he did, he hardly touched him. He didn't trip him or drag him by the shirt. He virtually just touched him. Little touch and bang. Free kick. Koeman stays on and we get beat.
Yeah. A bit like today's game, innit? You touch them and you blow on them, they get down, roll about. So.
But that's fascinating. That's a really fascinating insight into that actual incident. When you look at it that way, stay on your feet. And history could have been completely different.
It's easy. I think it makes sense. Why are you going to go down if you don't have to? When you've got an opportunity to maybe go and score a goal, pump your own ego up, take it to levels where you mostly never had before. But if anything, when it gets that another 2-3 yards, you're in that box. He's got to make his mind up what he's going to do. Does he trust his goalkeeper, or is he God Almighty? I'm taking control. I'm going to give the penalty away. Yeah. David Platt never really took it to that level. He decided that he was going to go and go over.
Yeah.
And that's me. I mean, that's what I believe. I just didn't see the reason he did what he did.
Well, I can't understand why people do that, because if I'm going through and somebody's pulling me and I've got the ball at my feet, I'm having the shot. I'm scoring. Mm-hmm. People say, I should have been down. I'm going, well, why? I don't take penalties.
See, that's why you and Andy Walker differed, because Andy Walker always made the point.
He would make sure. But I never took a penalty, so I'm thinking, why would I want to fall for somebody else to score?
Someone else's stats.
Maybe that's a greedy thing, I don't know, but it's one of them. I just go through.
Just before we wind up then, so looking back, 19 caps for your country, 2 league titles, an FA Cup, a League Cup, played at a World Cup. It's a nice career, that. Any regrets? Are you quite happy with how it all unfolded for you?
No, my regret is that I didn't get more, I'll be honest, because I missed out because of my injury at United. Really, I missed out on what there was been 2 extra charity shields. There should have been another double.
Yeah.
And there should have been another FA Cup. No, I missed out, to be honest, really. I know that I should have had more, but people say to me I was mad to carry on playing but with my ankle, but I hated missing games. I hated missing the moments. Playing for Manchester United and sitting in the stands watching is a horrible feeling, because when they win, when you've been and you smelt it, you tasted it, and you go in there and you haven't been involved, you feel like a spare leg.
Yeah.
And I couldn't deal, didn't enjoy it at all. My last season wasn't the greatest in that sense, because I couldn't get back in the side again. And then emotions get hold of you. You start maybe saying and doing silly things because you're missing out. Get a little bit of the green-eyed monster because you're not around it anymore, all in. So, yeah, I should have got more out of it, but I'll still say I'm very, very fortunate to have done what I've done, really, especially for the fact to get to Manchester United, because as far as I was concerned, I was always going to play football in London. I was never going to leave London. I should have signed for Spurs. I was with Terry Venables before, sitting with Terry Venables in the hotel in Hyde Park Corner, the Royal Lancaster, and that's where Manchester United rung up while I was with Terry Venables. And fair play to him, because he knew at that given time I was a bit of a Spurs fan, and Terry Venables was from local to where I was, so I knew him quite well anyway, just through being local. And he just said, "You got to go and speak to him. You got to be respectful and speak to everyone who ask about you." And if he doesn't say that, I don't know if I would have gone north. Really don't know. But I must say, playing up in the north of England was one of the best times of my career, because I absolutely loved the enthusiasm, the love of football in the north. It's completely different to London, I'm going to say, not the south. I never played south of London, but it's different to London, a different energy level, a bigger passion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's bigger the further north you get as well.
Did you ever play in Glasgow? Did you ever play a game of football in Glasgow?
I played in Paul McStay's testimonial game for United.
It's a good place to play up here. But listen, you didn't do too bad going to Man United. It was, I mean, no matter what the people in London think about them, they're one of the most iconic clubs in the world, really, aren't they? You know, so fair play to that.
Yeah.
And you didn't do too bad, son, did you?
Time's caught up with us. Time's caught up with us, and Paul, absolute pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, it's great, mate.
I think it's only fair we let you get back to your bed and you can sleep some Benidorm out of your system.
It's definitely about more about the lard, getting that out of my system.
Right, we're going to leave it there. So, Paul, thanks again for joining us. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you, Simon.
And to everyone watching, thanks and listening. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Let Me Be Frank, and we will be back before you know it with another episode. So take care.
Take care. Thank you.